Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Wakey, wakey. It is time to get going here. It is me, your managing editor, Nick Hausman, back in the saddle Tuesday for the latest episode of the WINCLY. And joining me, as he does almost every Tuesday now, it's our good friend, Michael Wiseman. Michael, welcome back to Wrestling Inc. Audio. You never left.
I've never left. I've been here all week. I got plenty of jokes lined up for the rest of the week. We're just going to make up shows for me to host now, too, I think.
It's
like,
great. Great.
We're going to do like some post-YouTube post show. I want to do a post show for our post show, I think is what we're moving into here.
Oh, the post-Rumble.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Well, yeah, Mike, if you haven't been, Michael, if you haven't been keeping up, has been what you did the post show for the Rumble, right? You did our post show for Raw.
Yep.
And today, if fans want to double dip on Wiseman, well, you were last night here. And then tonight, if you do 3 shows within 24 hours, I think we call that the 3 Wiseman.
Right? Oh, the 3 Wiseman. Yep, I like it. I can dig it. I was calling it 2 for Tuesday, but the 3 Wiseman really does work out. I can dig it.
You know, anyway.
Yeah, because it's like the Bible reference. I get you. By the way, what is this beautiful piece of science fair project you have in the background here? I noticed it's back there just waiting for us. If you're listening via audio, I'm sorry. I just screwed the pooch on this one. But
well, I should say, I know everybody's tuning in right now, and I'm glad to see we got some live viewers here joining us on the live recording of the news show. We will get to all the news and Ambrose and everything. But yes, thank you for pointing this out, Mike and Michael. Behind me is the Royal Rumble game board from our Duffy's Tavern and Grill party we did on Sunday night here for the Royal Rumble. It's beautiful. For those of you that are only listening in audio form, imagine Michelangelo was given a piece of marble, right, and worked tirelessly for months to design the perfect Rumble board. That's what this is behind me right now.
Said another way, imagine you had a 6-year-old and you told him to write out the numbers 1 through 30 on a science fair project board. And that's it. Yeah, pretty much captured it in a nutshell.
Conversely, what if it was the opposite of the thing Nick said? It's nice. You know, we use this board. We picked 30 numbers from people who got tickets for buying drinks and food and stuff. And 2 fans won $100 gift cards to Duffy's, some Wrestling Inc. t-shirts, and some other cool swag I had wrestling-wise just lying around my house that I give away at these parties. So on that front, thank you all very much for coming out. We are going to be doing another party at Duffy's for WrestleMania. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more info about that. If you're in Chicago, around Chicago, come join us at Duffy's. I can confirm the party will be happening. So come party with us. Also, our good friends over at the Two Face Podcast, if you listen to them, they're also here on Wrestling Inc. Audio. Great people. I love their style. I love their energy. Kelsey has been fantastic to work with here on the site. I'm very happy that they've officially announced they're going to be doing a Wrestling Inc. We'll call them Wrestling Inc. Blast Areas. Let's take the old Blast Zone name, right? Wrestling Inc. party in Houston, the day of Elimination Chamber. It's going to be at the St. Arnold's Brewery. I grew up around Houston. I know St. Arnold's. Great beer. I'm a craft beer guy. Could not be more excited about this. We'll have more information rolling out in the coming weeks. But if you're in the Houston area, you're looking for a place to party with Wrestling Inc., I think this is going to happen just before Elimination Chamber. Come find us. Later today on this show, if you're listening to the audio version, not the live recording news version of here, if you're listening to the audio full WINCLY episode today, you're not just going to get Michael and I discussing all the news the past 5 days. You're also going to get an exclusive interview with Impact Wrestling's Scarlett Bordeaux. And I'm really excited to share this one. I recorded this late last week. You know, Scarlett is your quintessential sex pot wrestling character throwback in some ways right now. And I think you guys are going to get to hear a different side of her in the interview today. So I encourage you, if you're watching us live, go over, subscribe to Wrestling Inc. Audio. You'll get this, you'll get that, you'll get the whole show. Also, this week, it is post-Rumble. We got all kinds of news editorials going out. We got 2 more WINCLYs this week, tomorrow, and Thursday. Subscribe, take it in. Let's get to the news. Are you ready to talk news, Mike?
I don't know if I'm ready to talk this much news. I'm always ready to talk news, but we have a crap ton of stuff to go over today, it seems like.
Now, I want to clear up real quickly. The last WINCLY we did was on Thursday. I had LeBar on. We talked about the news that Ronda Rousey may be leaving, according to the Observer, after WrestleMania. Whole kerfuffle evolved literally within the next hour or so after our discussion. It was made clear by WWE. Ronda is under contract until April of 2021. She made it clear in an interview that she is what's going on with her vagina and lady parts are nobody's business but her own, and they need to lay off. Her words, not mine. And she definitely left the door open that she could leave, start a family, come back. Brie Bella has done that. Maurice has done that. We've never really seen a woman full time make that return following having a child, having already previously had a career on the main roster. Has that happened? Best of my mind.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think you mentioned Brie. I think that's the closest we've had something like that, but I don't remember anybody. Maria Kanellis is out there right now wrestling, but
sure.
But it's not, again, they're kind of in part-time roles, not really full-time. So
yeah, exactly. We have never seen anybody come back full-time after leaving to have a child, or a woman at least. And, she's there till April 2021. A year of her life goes away to have a child. That leaves, another year or year and a half, maybe, to come back and do something. I could see her very easily transitioning into like the exact same version of Brock Lesnar, right? I mean, that seems like the direction this is headed, correct?
It's felt like for a while now that they've known. I mean, again, the running line is she's under contract until 2021 or 2021. Was that the date?
April 2021 is what I have written down here.
So she's under contract until April of 2021. You might be able to get a little bit more off of that if you kind of book around some pregnancy stuff there. But point being, this seems like they've known for a while that they were going this direction, which is why we've had Ronda come out and look so dominant for a year. I always thought they moved a little bit too fast on Ronda. Now, it's worked for them, right? And Ronda's been a dominant champion, and I think they've managed to kind of make her look really good, and fans who were at first a little bit unwilling to accept her, they made her look really good because of the way they booked her. I think it's interesting now knowing this, that she might be going away. I understand why they were so hot-shotting her so much, why they wanted to put her in that main event spot, because you got to get what you can get out of her, especially to your point. If you want her to return as a Brock Lesnar light, then you need her to look great right now.
I said Brock Lesnar. I don't say Brock Lesnar light. I mean, I guess Brock is, in my opinion, maybe the bigger draw, but debatable. Yeah. We're going to table the Rousey discussion here real quick. We'll come back to Ronda because we still have to talk about all the stuff that happened at the Rumble. But the other big story that broke literally overnight, I'm getting older. I made the mistake of drinking a glass of milk before going to bed and could not easily fall asleep last night. So I was like up on my couch for once at like 2:00 in the morning on my couch, reading Twitter, reading the news, suffering from milk. And I saw Wade Keller, PW Torch. It was like, it broke at like 2 a.m. Central Time. Dean Ambrose apparently has given WWE management word that he plans to leave the company after Mania. Now here's the full details, and then we could dive into what this could mean. His contract is up at Mania or right after. He could leave before Mania if they decide to not have any plans for him, not put him on WrestleMania. He did lose cleanly to Seth Rollins last night on Raw. He was unceremoniously eliminated at the Rumble match. He's been frustrated, they say here, for a long time with the booking of his character in WWE. The quote they were given about his unhappiness, I'm going to use a swear word here, so I apologize to the YouTube gods and whatever may happen with iTunes, but he doesn't like hokey shit. That's what they said, which, if you know Johnny Moxley, if you look back at his career, makes a lot of sense. We get to that here in just a moment. He was offered a pay raise a couple weeks ago, turned it down. Now, there is no word if this is going to affect his wife, Renee Young's relationship with WWE. And of course, there's the giant elephant in the room that is AEW right now, as the logo also sits over my shoulder, looming over my shoulder, that, maybe he could go there. So I'll sit back here for a moment. What is your take on this? And just what's your thoughts on the Dean Ambrose story, Mike?
It's shocking, man. I mean, we concluded last night's post-Raw show, and I literally saw the news break within 5 minutes as we were wrapping up. And it was one of those things that you sit back because Dean Ambrose has become such an integral part of WWE these days. I think you look back at his time in the Shield with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and he kind of seemed like the one you didn't know if WWE would capitalize on him, but they did. They let him have world title runs. They've put him in the spotlight main events. And so to hear this at first, it's very taking aback because he seems like the kind of guy, especially with his wife Renee being there in the spot she is, so high profile. He was kind of like a WWE lifer, not forever, but a guy that's going to be around for a long time in that company because they're taken care of. It's not like a guy like Dolph Ziggler. If Dolph Ziggler leaves, yeah, you get it because he's always underused. But when you hear the reason and Dean Ambrose is unhinged on screen, but also behind the scenes, he's very particular. He's very private. And you see the way he's been used. And I think Wade Keller went on to say that the speculation is it's because he's been displeased. It's not about money. It's because he's been displeased with the way they booked him. And you look back at these segments with the syringes and the bud and all this stuff. I can get it. I can get why a guy who feels like he might be stable financially is like, you know what? I value my craft more than I value the paycheck and stability of a big company.
Yeah, I that seems to be the word from a lot of talents we're hearing right now. There's a lot of buzz about different folks, the Revival's unhappiness backstage. Definitely seems like the company's been much more friendly towards Finn Balor and AJ Styles as of late. And yeah, with Dean, I mean, AEW, look, the report we got here, I'll go a little bit down my run sheet here. The Observer said that, before AEW was a thing, Don Callis almost made a deal with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho to come to Impact. Before AEW, Kenny Omega would have maybe done Impact with Jericho. Omega would have still done 30 dates with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But, Omega is now he's expected to sign with AEW probably for a huge sum of money. If he'd have signed with Impact, the word in the report was that he'd have still worked 30 dates a year for New Japan. But he's going to get a great deal. Chris Jericho has said this is the best deal he's ever gotten in his entire pro wrestling career. And that speaks a lot because he worked through the 90s, jumped ship during the Attitude Era. And he was reportedly making $100,000 per match in New Japan recently. He made the same amount for the Greatest Rumble. These are crazy numbers right now, Michael. Crazy numbers right now. If you are Dean Ambrose and you're sitting there and you're saying, man, I've been eating a lot of poo to get to where I have right now, which is like a Vince McMahonism, right? You get really good at eating doo-doo in order to become successful. And so he's eating a lot of that poo.
Crow. Can we just say crow? A little less graphic.
I don't know. I got milk on the mind.
Yeah.
This is a crazy amount of money right now. And if you're Dean and you're in this position and you genuinely have struggled to break through, get that creative juice going. I mean, you look back on that Brock Lesnar hardcore match he had a couple WrestleManias ago. It was just a train wreck. And look, Dean Ambrose, very compelling character, a compelling guy. He's got the look. He's got the it. His matches are not the traditional modern day indie matches. They're very old school. And, he's just in a different. He's a drift. I wonder if a change of scenery is like he knows he's got to do it. Like you've seen the success of Cody and these other guys who have left and gotten more popular and come back stronger.
Well, we're talking about. I mean, you mentioned all the money that's being thrown around right now. We're talking about maybe not quite as big as Attitude Era level money, but there is money out there that has not been there in 2 decades. Right? There is money out there being used to draw talents across to different promotions. And we haven't seen this in so long as a professional wrestling community. So that's really crazy. And another conversation for another day, really, about how Impact Wrestling has kind of suffered the brunt of AEW's debut. But I think the bigger thing here for Dean is, his style. I think Dean, as you said, a compelling character. I think he's a compelling guy. I think he's great. I think he's really good on the mic, and I think he brings that intensity. I think in the ring, he's always been kind of meh to me. I don't recall any of his matches being standout. When he was an indie wrestler, he was a hardcore guy. I think back to his time on the indies, and he was not the same kind of wrestler that we have in Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns. All that being said,
Janela. He's a little bit like a Janela.
Absolutely. I think that's a great comparison. But where can he go next? So I think that's the question for Dean is, what does Dean need in his repertoire, right? He's been in the WWE system. He can get money somewhere else now, it seems like. Maybe he does go to New Japan. I don't think he goes to Impact. I think that's a step down for him. I think he could be a great spot in AEW. But the danger for WWE right now is losing talents like this. So this was never an issue 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But when there's somebody else on the scene, talents feel like they have options, and the slightest things, the smallest things that we may never know can make a talent feel like they need to go somewhere else because it is available to them. That's dangerous.
Yeah, and this is when it becomes fun, where the press, other members of the press become the intermediary here, right? Because like it's illegal to directly negotiate with somebody under contract and talent, right? But it is not illegal to have that information leaked to the press, become open source info. Last week I described Tony Khan opening the Observer and being like, Ronda Rousey is apparently going to be a free agent here pretty soon. That's something to think about, right? That one turned out to be a lot of smoke. This one, there turns out to be fire. I mean, I can cut down here. We get to the Rumble here in a second, but there were a couple other people that are available now or seemingly are available. Wrestling Observer reporting Matt Sydal. He finished with Impact on January 1st. He could go to WWE or AEW. I mean, again, like if you're AEW and you've got a war chest of money, this is where the war is being fought right now. These guys are best case scenario. And if you're Dean Ambrose, you've got to know that. Jungle Boy, he's officially signed with AEW. That's Luke Perry's son, who's been tearing it up in GCW and elsewhere. Had the joy of seeing him at 400 Degrees. Great guy. Still needs to be refined. Still a little green. Great talent, though. Chris Van Vliet, sports journalist, was in Phoenix, not covering the Rumble. He was there with a Phoenix resident, Dolph Ziggler, not in the Rumble, who confirmed he is on hiatus from WWE. And he said he's on a handshake deal with WWE right now that's unlike what's on paper. And he left the door open to joining AEW. Again, like negotiating in the open. And Dolph Ziggler, I mean, look at that. Dolph Ziggler, Matt Sydal, Dean Ambrose. These were all within a 5-day period. All those stories came out, Michael. 5 days. Everybody, right. If you've got any worth and you are near getting your contract out or are currently a free agent, they want the world to know,
Well, and so you look at it from AEW standpoint, and it's really got to be about them. What is the value out of certain talents? I think there are certain guys you bring in like Dean Ambrose who can have a spot in there and elevate your promotion. I think you bring in, you're seeing this, they're bringing in some other younger talents that don't have huge names yet in WWE, but they want to build up as their own. And it's that right mix. I mean, you're not going to go after everybody. You're not going to get everybody. Your main roster is going to be the Bucks, Cody. You're going to have Chris Jericho in there as your legend. Obviously, Kenny Omega's there. A guy like Dean would be a great pairing with those. A guy like Dolph. I think that's the mix you want to see happen. And people are saying, oh, put Zack Ryder over there. Put this guy and the other guy. Not all of those guys are going to fit. I want to see these guys succeed. I want to see everybody succeed. But look, Tyler Breeze might not be the right fit for this promotion either.
Look, Zack Ryder, he lost on Monday Night Raw. This is the best booking he's had in years. He's not leaving the company right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Second, though, I mean, it is crazy to think about, like Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler. The reason that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were so impactful with the whole NWO thing is because you were so ingrained as seeing them as WWE guys. That was Razor Ramon and Diesel. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, what is Razor Ramon doing here? It was a weird, especially since I was like 12 or whatever when the
right.
was like,
we were all real dumb back then and we believed pro wrestling was real, right? So
yeah, exactly. I was like, what? He has a different name. He's not Razor Ramon. He still had the toothpick. But anyway, I digress. Kevin Gill, shout out. The reason that works so well is you identified them as WWF guys at the time. Dean and Dolph, like you said, these are guys that would be considered lifers under any other circumstance, right? If there wasn't AEW in the water right now, for those two faces to come together, even right, crash the end of Double or Nothing, something like that, is a unit. That's with maybe even Sydal is a part of it. I think you could say people would still associate him as Evan Bourne. Interesting. I don't know. A very interesting group of people where we've moved away from top indie talent. The rumors about WWE talent have begun. Very interesting.
And you got to look at it like, too. I mean, I love to compare it to WCW back in the day because WCW had Hogan before they had the Outsiders. And it's so crazy to think back to this, but Hogan was basically a free agent. He had kind of retired from wrestling to do acting when WCW brought him over. And then the Outsiders coming over kind of opened up that floodgate. And what you got to think if you're WWE, if a couple of big talents do jump ship, that makes it more legitimate. And I know this happened back in NWA, TNA a little bit, but it wasn't quite the same. It didn't have the same vibe as we got right now.
You got to think John Cena knows he could do it if he wanted and just like blow the roof off the place, right?
He'll never do it. I mean, Chris Jericho, I think, is your big get for them right now. I
think he'd do it. I know everybody says I'm crazy. I think at some point Cena will be in a position where he's going to, and does he take it? I don't know, but I think he will very seriously make that consideration at some point.
I just want to go back here for a second. Chris Jericho almost signed with Impact Wrestling. Can we just
how weird? Kenny Omega
and Kenny Omega. Oh man, poor Don Callis. Poor Don Callis.
Man, for him, like, there's got to have been that period where he's like, "This might work."
Yeah,
this could really happen.
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Impact Wrestling is relevant again. Ugh.
I wonder if I can get Don this week. I'd love to talk to him about that report.
I like Impact. Impact's got a lot of great talent over there. They're just getting overshadowed. That's the only problem right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Impact's doing a lot of smart stuff here as well. Lastly, here, my other two were Observer reported that AJ Styles' contract with WWE also does come up in April, but he is expected to stay. He seems very happy by all accounts right now in his position. So does sound like he'll continue to stay around. And the Observer also reported that B. Priestley has turned down a WWE offer. She's on AEW's radar. She may even be announced as part of the AEW women's division as soon as the pool party on February 7th in Vegas that they're throwing. So that's all of the available talent wrap up. Let's get right back to the Rumble here. Got a little off the beaten path here. Man, the Rumble was on Sunday, and that's not even my lead. That's not even the first 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could spend 7 hours talking about the Royal Rumble because it lasted that long. So there you go.
Man, no kidding. Yeah.
Long
and we
show.
were at Duffy's, and they gave me a free bar tab, and I was just miserable. I was just miserable.
Man, that's terrible.
They treat me terribly there.
10 hours of free drinking. God.
JK, Duffy's, my favorite. Come party with me. I don't know. We'll see if I'll be there Mania weekend or not. We've got a couple things on the table. All right. Becky Lynch has won the Women's Royal Rumble. Earlier in the night, she tapped out to Asuka. She then popped up on Raw, confronted Ronda Rousey, and said, let's do this at WrestleMania. Now, this was a kind of controversial segment, I think, that happened last night. Do you agree?
Raj and I had differing opinions on it. So I think that if you watch our show, we talked a little bit last night about we had differing opinions. So I know the WWE universe and fans in general, pro wrestling universe, had differing opinions. Did you like it? Did you think Ronda looked strong, Nick?
No.
Or Rousey looked strong?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought that by the end of the show, Brock and Seth felt more like the main event than Ronda Becky.
I thought Becky felt like the main event. I thought Ronda felt a little bit. I thought she felt a lot overshadowed. I think her lines were too scripted. She didn't feel as genuine and connected. And I thought Becky looked fantastic, though. She was amazing. Her poise was incredible.
I don't think that Ronda likes to be disliked. I don't think she likes to be booed. Period. You know, I think that she in her head sees herself as a bit of like the female Bret Hart. You think that's fair to say?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I'm this strong, powerful female influence. I want to carry the banner proudly type thing. And I think that I don't think that she likes the booze. And I think that it is very interesting that now that it is very clear to the fans that they can bully Ronda Rousey, I'm interested to see how that dynamic plays out. And if Ronda can get back the cheers to where they were when she debuted, if that's possible.
I think the issue with Ronda, and we've seen it in the press a lot, and maybe not quite as much in the ring because they found ways to protect her. But the issue with Ronda is she's just a little bit weak when it comes to that public perception. She feels like somebody's digging into her personal life. She feels like, it's the reaction last week about the pregnancy thing, right? People, her vagina is nobody's business but her own. And that was her leading remarks there. And it felt very punchy. In a way, we were talking about contract negotiations and her possibly having a baby. And yeah, that's private stuff, but you're a public figure here. And you're a public persona, and this is a business, and it affects business things. And so for her to kind of attack the media about that and say, well, none of this is your business, in a way that was very offensive, not offensive, but on the offense. You see this in the ring now. You see this whenever she's having a promo that she reacts. And I think that's a sign of she's just not quite mature enough in this business yet to understand. You would think she would be after UFC, but she still's got that weakness about her. It
is a little, I mean, it's a very interesting observation that the fans now know they can get to her. She called it out and said, you got to me. You made me stumble by booing me so much. And if the fans know that they can take out Ronda like that, it opens up the door for a very interesting, different dynamic between Ronda and the fans. I mean, it's almost shades of almost like Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Type heat where the fans know, but he's cool, man. Like, he wouldn't let it get to him. He knew they were doing it, but he was going to do his thing regardless. I'm trying to think of somebody else that reacts the same way as Ronda, where when they don't get the reaction they want, they kind of shut down a little bit.
It reminds me the most of the Watt chants, I think, to a certain extent, which is the fans use those Watt chants to screw with certain talents. And then you would come and see guys who come out there and they knew how to play against those and change their cadence of their talk and everything else. So the Watt chants didn't work. And Ronda's just got to figure that out, how to get out of her own headspace, because the fans pick up on it and they were going to use it. And, they're relentless. The WWE fans can be relentless.
Yeah, they can be. And that's why I say, this is interesting because the fans now know they can get to Ronda. And, to your point about how she goes on the offense, when people get up in her face. Maybe that's the game to play here with these two. You know, Becky has that poise. She's able to carry herself on the microphone. Maybe it is a game of Becky continues to walk Ronda up to the line, and then Ronda expresses herself physically, you know, which is where I think she's going to do her best storytelling anyway. So maybe they find a way to play into this dynamic. But that was a very weird segment to me, and I agree with you. I think Becky just held her own in a completely different level than Ronda.
It's such a strange feud right now too, because typically the babyface champion is chasing the heel who kind of always gets the one up here. But this reminds me more of like Austin back in the day. When Austin would go after the champion, people honestly believed he could do it. I think, you know, Ronda's got to find some way to regain her assertion as the champ. I think talking is not the right way to do it. I think holding up the belt, proving that, yes, I am number one and you've still got to beat me to get this. That's the way you got to go.
Yeah, and it is. It's like I would love to be a fly on the wall of creative, right? Do you have Ronda just destroy Becky Lynch to prove that, you know, if she runs her mouth that she can be put in her place, right? Or, you know, do you make the choice to I would say a controversial choice to make Becky more heel, right? To suffice Ronda getting cheered? But why kill that momentum and have Becky change a bit of what she's doing when this is organic lightning in a bottle right now? Interesting. I would definitely think that the whiteboard was changed a bit.
Yes.
On Monday night. Also coming out of the Women's Rumble, PWInsider.com reporting that people backstage were pleasantly surprised by the big pop that Nikki Cross got. She was very well received, I thought, at the show.
It's funny because Nikki Cross, people who've watched her career know her, but she's not a huge name still, you know.
Yeah, give her time. She's still fresh to the roster, but she's got a good look. I can see her going, especially in the healthy women's division right now. There's a lot of people for her to work with. But one person she won't be able to work with, injured in the Rumble, Ember Moon, injured her elbow, is going to require surgery. I didn't see a timeline for her return, but bummer. Big loss for Ember here. Hope to see her back here real soon. On the men's Rumble side here, let's talk the men's Rumble. Seth Rollins won. He eliminated Braun Strowman at the end. He had to make his decision on Monday Night Raw. He beat his buddy Dean Ambrose up. We already talked about Dean, but then he got confronted by Brock at the end of the show, got laid out with 6 F5s. We never even saw Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan have any interaction. So it's Brock versus Seth Rollins here at WrestleMania. Execution, look, between the opening segment where the crowd was chanting Slay the Beast, right? And Triple H and Seth are like, man, did we put a $20 bill in everyone's pocket before the show started? This is incredible. You got that. He beats Dean. He looks strong there. Then Brock destroys him. Excellent storytelling. This was just top to bottom. I was skeptical. Why choose Seth over Braun? I was absolutely proved wrong. I thought this was very, very well done on Monday night. And through the Rumble into Monday night.
They teased a little bit. I kind of got excited for a minute. I like the idea of Seth and Brock. I think he's the right guy to go down this road. But I got excited for a hot minute when it seemed like it might be Seth and Daniel Bryan. And I said, man, there's a lot to work with in that feud, and it could be a dream match. So I like the tease throughout Monday night, but it's definitely the right call. Brock's got to lose here. He's got to lose. Yeah. Seth is the face of your company moving forward.
Man, Seth can work house shows, but tag matches, and he only gets the hot tag, and that's it. Yep. You know, don't endanger this guy. You know, I would hate to hear some stuff. That's all I was thinking. I was like, this is so perfect. I hope this man doesn't like pull a Randy Orton and like tear his tricep taking the garbage out or something. You know,
walk into the ring, tear both quads. Right? You don't want that.
Yeah, this was just so well done. This is exciting storytelling. Ronda Becky was a shoo-in for me, following especially Becky winning the Women's Rumble. But instead we're going this route. Now, I thought it was interesting, though, in the Men's Rumble, we got Nia Jax in the 30th spot that, Justin LaBar was on the show last week. He was talking about how we saw Becky in that slot winning the Men's Rumble. Instead, we got Nia here, mix it up with the boys, didn't go the distance. What was your take on Nia Jax getting a chance to enter the Men's Rumble here?
It was such a strange decision for WWE to do this. It almost felt like a little bit of an insider nod, just to like have fun, wink, wink, poke, poke. I don't really have strong opinions on it. I think the more curious thing is that they had her do that on Sunday and get some offense against the men, and then Monday night she came out and they had that weird segment with Dean, and it's almost felt like they were teasing something. Like, I mean, you could legitimately do a Dean versus Nia Jax match. I guess you could go that route. It would be strange. I'm not saying it would be bad. It would just be different. And it seems like, are they going to do something with it? I don't know.
I don't know what I legit in the back of my head, and it was so weird. I was like, this feels like Dean just like grabbed a chair and was like, I want my moment to tell my story.
Yeah.
Right?
That was such a weird little moment in time that didn't amount to much at all.
And they're like, fine, give him a microphone, let him sit down. And once he starts to talk, we're gonna send Nia out and we're gonna cut the mic. And then if he wants to cause a scene on national television, then we'll deal with that way. I mean, that's and I'm completely wrong, but that's how that felt to me. And I would say, look, here's the reason I don't feel crazy saying that is I know Dean's friends, right? Some of them that worked at CZW. One of them, who I'll just call it Robert Ego Anthony, is a local Chicago wrestler, very tight with Dean. He would do that. He would. I swear, this man has jumped on live commentary with me out of nowhere. He has bum rushed booths. I know this is like a totally different beast, but you can't kick the outlaw out of the wrestler. And if it's in you, you're just gonna do weird stuff sometimes, you know.
Yeah, well, in the reports being now that Dean might be gone here in a few months, it does add a layer of kind of that breaking kayfabe skepticism to like maybe this wasn't planned, or maybe they just went with it. I still, was it supposed to be a pipe bomb type moment? I don't know. It's strange. More strange though, Nia Jax kind of getting the upper hand here, making Dean look very weak by proxy. I think that's interesting, but weird. I don't know. It was a weird thing to do.
Intentional or unintentional, it was one of my favorite things I've seen on Raw in a long time, and it was like only a minute.
Yeah,
I was like, well, that's my hook for next week. Is I want to know what the F is going on here right now.
Here's my big thing though, right? So Dean Ambrose aside here, Nia Jax, I don't understand. I'm actually not a big fan of them using women in the men's match, just like I'm not a fan of them using men in the women's match, because to me, she comes out, she's already had her moment for the night. It doesn't really amount to much, and you could have done something else with that spot with a man who might have benefited from the rub a little bit more, rather than just say, look, we had a woman. It was a gimmick. It was a way to use a woman as a gimmick, and I didn't like that.
Yeah. All right. I just didn't like it because I was like, well, you have men's and women's rumbles now. This completely, like, what is Braun Strowman going to win the women's rumble next year? Is he going to throw Alexa Bliss through the ceiling? Like, what's going to happen here? If you're going to do this kind of stuff, just have one rumble, right?
Yep. I agree.
One rumble.
I agree.
And go back to that. So we'll see what happens here. Surprises in the men's rumble, other than Nia, Jeff Jarrett, Hornswoggle made an appearance as well. Hornswoggle was in the women's rumble. Apologies. But yeah, Jeff was number 2, confrontation with Elias. Michael talked all about it last night on the Raw rundown after the show. So just go listen to the Raw review show. We're not going to review it, but I was happy to see Jeff. John Cena was pulled from the Rumble last minute, which was already kind of known, replaced by Braun Strowman. Also at the show, Eric Rowan returned to help his buddy Daniel Bryan, I guess his buddy, retain over AJ Styles. I love that these guys just look like they work or live at a commune. Is that the thing? Right?
Yeah, hipsters in paradise. Is that? I mean, this is what we're gonna.
Oh, they should show up on those big, funny bicycles, right? Or like like the hipster bicycles, the like tall rat patrol. Anybody rat patrol people out there? Okay. Anyway, maybe they just need an underfed dog that they're like playing their ukulele for.
You're going like full from hipster to hippie. I mean, this is a full transition here.
Dude, I'm not that far from Wicker Park here in Chicago. I know what hipsters are like. They're not all just fun top hats and steampunk glasses. You're all broke or like, or pretending to be broke. I get it. Whatever.
I guess you go if you're from a hipster, if you have some money, you're a yuppie right at that point. Now I like this. I mentioned the other night, it's like kind of like a straight edge society type gimmick for Daniel Bryan.
True.
I think it's a good place. I thought CM Punk was always great doing that straight edge gimmick when he had the straight edge society in full. So I like this for Daniel Bryan. I hope to keep Luke Harper away from it though. They don't need Luke Harper here. These two guys work well. Bring in somebody else, not Luke Harper.
Yeah, Luke Harper could do something else when he comes back. Yeah. He's more than fine on his own. But with Rowan, like, I wonder what they have planned next for Bryan. Because Rowan is such a great addition for me because he creates a little bit of a wall in between Daniel Bryan and whoever. So you get to have a more, again, I'm using a negative word here, but you get to have more of a chicken shit heel with Daniel Bryan, where he's always on the run, or he's got somebody in between him and whoever. I just think this is a very good use for Eric Rowan. I think this will probably be the best run we've seen for Rowan, definitely since the Wyatt family. I think this will be a better run for him than the Wyatt family because it seems more real to me.
My favorite thing that came out Sunday night, I said this in the post-game show, was Matt Fowler from IGN tweeted that he wondered now if Daniel Bryan had actually still been a part of the Wyatt family all of this time since he had been assimilated 3 years ago, and he's just been waiting for his moment to reemerge as the face of the Wyatt family.
I'm not against it. I don't hate it. Whatever. Let's get into it. Let's get some backstory going. Shinsuke Nakamura won the U.S. title on the kickoff show. WTF? Don't know what's going on there. I guess we'll find out tonight. There was a fan that was forced to remove their AEW shirt ringside. Did you see the video of this?
Yep. That was not a good look for WWE. That is not necessary. I mean, I said they're lucky that he had an undershirt on, but so he could take off that shirt and he was not just bare chested. I get why the guy's front row, right? But it draws more attention if you're the bigger dog here and you do something petty like this.
Yeah, it's a different time now than like in the 90s and stuff, I guess. Not everybody had like a camera phone, right? Now It's like you can't do this without it getting noticed. And I'm interested. I say I'm interested, but again, I remember going to the AEW. I was at the AEW rally in Jacksonville. I was at the SmackDown in Jacksonville right afterwards, and it was night and day. Like SmackDown did not feel like the AEW fans were trying to take it over at all. It felt like a family wrestling show that was a little bit edgier because the AEW pushed them in that direction. So I don't know how crazy this will get.
Yeah, it's. I remember a few years ago, WWE was confiscating signs of things they didn't agree with or whatever. It was weird stuff that's happened one off here and there. You just, to your point, back in the day, you could maybe do it because it was reported or rumored, but now there's photographic evidence, and you're giving your competition free promotion every time you do this.
Yeah, a couple more notes. One more note here coming out of Royal Rumble, also weirdly AEW related. Chris Jericho fired off a couple tweets during the Rumble. One of which said that Brock Lesnar needs to lose his gut and pull up his pants, and he also said that ROH and WWE, the AEW only wants like 6 or 8 of their guys. We don't need you. Like a lot of people. Now look, some people said Chris Jericho was drunk when he tweeted these. Jericho has denied those allegations, but these are stiff shots here from Chris Jericho, and I don't really get the motivation for why he did it.
Chalk this up to weirdest. I mean, in a week full of just bizarre wrestling stories, this is the weirdest wrestling story we've had in quite some time, just as far as being out there. Chris Jericho has seemed like a guy, and he's come out in recent weeks and said he told McMahon he was going to sign with AEW. He seemed like this guy who was kind of this in-between. He could go to any promotion. He could be partnered with anybody. New Japan wanted him. WWE would bring him back. AEW wanted him. And yet he does this really strange thing where he just starts throwing bricks in a glass house, and he throws it at Brock Lesnar. Maybe it's a jockeying for some future matches. Only Chris Jericho knows his intent here. I think it was unnecessary, and for a guy, he seems like he's tooting his own horn a little bit too much here. He's like, look, AEW, we're awesome. We don't need anything else. I'm awesome. I'm better than Brock, especially Chris Jericho. Come on. And I'm not one to rag on wrestlers for their body shape, physique, whatever else. Chris Jericho's been in better shape in recent years, but there for a hot minute earlier into 2010s, Chris Jericho had his own little flabby gut going on. Dude, come on now. It just seems petty. Again, another word here, petty.
If you look at the responses to that Chris Jericho tweet, like 80% of them are just photos of Chris Jericho with a little bit of a gut hanging out. It's, it is what I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on here. I know Chris Jericho doesn't like him and Brock Lesnar nearly came to blows. What was it, SummerSlam when he nearly killed Randy Orton in the ring? Remember that?
Yeah. Yep. That was SummerSlam. 3 years ago. 4 years. Yep.
Yeah, where he threw the hard elbow and cut Randy Orton. Randy Orton bled, almost died in the ring. And yeah, I guess there was that story that Jericho got really hot and confronted Brock Lesnar. He's a crazy person.
And why is he bashing WWE? What he calls the randoms, the nobody? I mean, what's the point in all this? Again, he kind of went into business for himself here a little bit. I think that's the issue here. Jericho is your legend. He is your veteran on this roster. If I was AEW, if I was Cody Rhodes, I would have somebody talking to Jericho saying, "Listen, dude, we're trying to do business the right way. We're gonna challenge them on creative. We're gonna do our own self promotion, but we're not gonna go to the selfish kind of just petty bashing. That's not what AEW is. AEW is we are better because our product is better."
Well, and maybe also look, we have no idea what the legal teams of these two entities are doing behind closed doors. And it is, look, Jimmy Jacobs lost his job. Cease and desist orders letters were sent out after the quasi invasion. Maybe the heat was getting a little hot where all these rumors are, we're looking at Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose. They're all jumping to AEW. Maybe this was his way of acting out and trying to send a message. Look, we are not trying to tamper with contracts. We are not in talks with all of these people. Was another way I could have taken that. Publicly making the case that don't come at us when there's only smoke and no fire, my friend.
Maybe, but again, the petty attacks on Brock Lesnar kind of offsets that to me. If you know, listen, Chris Jericho is one of the greatest of all time. Some people will say he is up there with the top 3 greatest of all time, right? But Chris Jericho does sometimes let his ego get ahead of himself, and I think this is one of those cases, unfortunately. He's a rock star. He's a wrestler. You expect it, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we've got a little long here. I'll try to get through this. I don't want to keep you here all forever, Michael. But this was a huge past 5 days of news here. NXT Takeover was on Saturday night. Johnny Gargano, the new NXT North American champion, the War Raiders, the new NXT Tag Team champions, showing off the air with Gargano and Ciampa DIY posing with their titles. After the show went off the air, there was a confrontation between Ciampa, Gargano, Cole, Velveteen Dream, Ricochet, and Aleister Black. And on the Rumble pre-show the next night, HBK announced, we are bringing back halftime heat. Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. That's what I've been missing in my life is halftime heat. It'll be Ciampa, Gargano, and Cole versus Dream, Ricochet, and Black. HBK is going to be doing commentary. Is this live? Was this taped? I haven't
heard. Haven't heard. It's got to be taped though, right? Because it'd be hard to get all those fans in there for one match, and the timing would have to be right. That'd be tough.
Empty arena match, 6-man empty arena match. There's 7 forklifts, 8 bags of popcorn.
That's right. Well, that's the previous halftime heat was the infamous Mankind Rock empty arena match, and it was but this is different. Cool. I'm like it. I dig it. Let's bring back Celebrity Deathmatch at halftime too. All right, I'd like that.
What do you think about their commercial where they take pot shots at Maroon 5? You a fan?
My wife said, poor Maroon 5. And I'm saying, listen, this is where everybody is. Everybody hates Maroon 5. I like Maroon 5, but everybody else hates them. So, yeah.
So what is it? Songs That Jane Loves was the big album they had?
That was their first album. And I stand by it. It is an all-time great album. I love that CD. Their other ones have been a little too poppy, but that was a fantastic album.
I'm a romantic, so I do like Maroon 5. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I like the occasional Coldplay too. All this.
No.
I'll have a nice glass of wine and listen to the Moulin Rouge soundtrack once a year. Whatever, My gift is my song. Sorry.
Coldplay is like the fancy wine person's version of Nickelback. That's what it is. There you go.
Okay. Back to the news. I will just start. I'll go off the Moulin Rouge soundtrack right now. So that wraps up all the takeover news. Halftime heat is back. Tune in. I'm very excited to watch that. Our own Wrestling Inc. We had an exclusive. We found out that Hurricane Shane Helms is returning to WWE as a backstage producer, joining Abyss and Sanjay Dutt, Jeremy Borash, and really, I was thinking about this. As much as there is the Impact crew, because like Helms, I don't know that Helms was. I mean, he was part of. He was there through the House Hardy stuff, but the Hardy brand is interesting to me because a lot of the guys that worked with Matt and Jeremy Borash on those House Hardy vignettes through that period that was like probably the most recently successful time in Impact, all the producers and folks like that have now kind of been gobbled up. And it just made me reflect on like how the Hardy brothers have made the Hardy name like very powerful in wrestling. I guess that's not like a huge revelation, but it's like extended beyond just a legacy in the ring. Now they're actually starting to change the landscape of the backstage producers and stuff. And I just think that's an interesting observation that if the Hardy's friends, the people they work with are getting jobs.
One of the greatest tag teams of all times, right? These two, Jeff and Matt, fantastic. But bigger deal here, Jeff and Matt Hardy are super creative individuals. Mm-hmm. Matt has just this way of viewing the world that is, it's somewhat broken, it's somewhat shattered, it's creative, it's out there, and that's been reflected. And I'm glad to see that, though. WWE needs more of this. Professional wrestling as an industry needs more of that kind of different viewpoint. And kudos to them too. They've always kept their boys close. Matt and Jeff have always kept their guys with them and took them with them places. And it pays off. You're kind of in the family. So
yeah, and there's also something idea of look, Matt and Jeff have left. They had runs in Ring of Honor, right? They've classed themselves with these AEW guys. They had classics with the Young Bucks. It's no secret that these guys are not that they're willing. It's no secret that they're willing to go out and do that if the money is better, if the opportunity is right. So if you're trying to do everything in your power to just create an environment to cater to the names that you've got, and allowing Matt and Jeff to have some of their to have more of their friends around, especially people that are going to help them get more say within the creative field, makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think this is just one thing.
If you're in the business of professional wrestling, it's great. You want to go after, especially if you're a wrestler, get a world championship, right? But having a holistic viewpoint on the business and where you can fit into it benefits you so much more in the long term. Guys going over to the announce team like Corey Graves, guys like this becoming producers. Shane Helms, never a world champion on the big stage, but he brought his mind to the game. He learned the business inside and out, and it pays off in the long run.
Speaking of tag team wrestling, this leads very well into our next news bit here. Wrestling Observer reported that WWE is expected to put new emphasis on the tag team division. This is apparently to counter AEW, who's expected to focus more on tag team wrestling. Obviously, EVPs, the Young Bucks. This is possibly the reason Ryder and Hawkins have been put together to strengthen that division. The Revival, it was noted here, was initially told they'd be pushed as the faces of this new tag division. The fresh start has started. It hasn't really caught the Revival. Last night, the Revival did get a win here over Ryder and Hawkins. They've started to play up, Hawkins' long losing streak here. Maybe Ryder's going to be the one to help him turn it around. What do you think here about the move to or the moves they're doing here to try to bolster the tag division a bit?
The tag team division in WWE has been weird for years. NXT's tag team division was amazing for a hot minute. It's still fine, but the whole division. Look at your champions. You guys have guys paired up who are not natural tag teams. The Miz and Shane, even the Bar. I love the Bar. They've done great things, but they are not a natural tag team like the Revival was. They've come up as a tag team. I think you're going to need more restructuring to make this happen, and I think it's going to take a longer term plan than just a quick switch overnight. So we'll see. Skeptical, but we'll see.
Yeah. Wrestling Observer also reporting that WWE has been telling talent that they're all going to get pay raises when this new TV money kicks in later this year. Now, there could
don't go anywhere, guys. Please, we'll give you more money in a few months. We promise.
One of those Young Bucks styled money guns. Just
yeah.
New deals in the future could be structured a little bit differently. So wrestlers could be making more money on a flat fee basis and then moving away from things like cut of gate, cut of pay-per-view sales. Really an outdated model that applied to a time before, they had things like the WWE network existed, that WWE has 100% ownership of. So the deals may change a little bit. People could get more money. Obviously, again, this just proves what a great time to be a pro wrestler. Everybody's just getting more money. Lars Sullivan, his Twitter PR rep, William Christensen, Twitter rep, updated fans on Twitter saying that Lars is fine and he's sorry to anyone he may have let down with his absence recently, seeming to tip the hat to the reports recently about his anxiety issues leading to him leaving the road. So we'll see if we get Lars back in the mix here by Mania. And lastly here, before we throw to our interview for today, Jack Swagger won his Bellator debut fight. Very happy for Jake Hager. Jack Swagger on his big Bellator debut. And man, he looked impressive. That dude is a monster.
He did. He leaned into his natural strength. Jack Swagger is a very natural athlete, former collegiate wrestler, All-American. And I'm happy to see him get some success. I'm happy to see Jack Swagger kind of find a new niche for himself. He said he's going to have a long career in Bellator. I hope it does not mean we're losing him in professional wrestling and in that industry. I think he'd be a great fit for one of these rosters out there, but the man is happy. He's fit. He's winning. He's accomplishing stuff. So that's the most important thing to me is a happy, healthy Jack Swagger doing something he loves. So kudos to him. And he looked great, man. He really did.
Absolutely. Great. Good job. Congratulations, Jack. He'll be another name to watch here in 2019 as all the money just flies around like a big money tornado. And you're trying to grab as much money as you can right now. And now, if you're listening to us on iTunes, if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, thank you very much. Right now, you're going to get an exclusive interview with Impact Wrestling Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux. And thank you very much to Scarlett. We are here at the end of the show. Wow, it's amazing how that happens on the live stream.
Man,
we went.
Those interviews fly by, dude, every week.
Scarlett's great, man. Very interesting. I hope you guys enjoy that out there. Different side of her, is what she doing out of place, or is she allowing herself to be empowered through her sexuality? How do you feel?
More power. She is framing it in this way. I will support her. I'm not going to be a naysayer and dismissive. So go after it, girl. Go get it.
If she wants to wrestle, she can wrestle. She wants to be sexy, she can be sexy. She wants to walk around in a potato sack, she can walk around in a potato sack. There you go. Oh man, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this interview, Michael. I'm telling you, it's very good. Different side of Scarlett.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Yes. Continue to subscribe to Wrestling Inc. Audio on iTunes. Find us. I'll be back here the next 2 days on the YouTube channel, noon Eastern, with Justin LaBar, talking the news the next 2 days. So keep up with us here. Also, again, Two-Face. They're coming to Houston. Pre-Elimination Chamber, St. Arnold's Brewery. Keep your eye tuned to the site for that and more post-Rumble news coming out this week. I'm Nick Hausman. I'm at Wink Rebel over on Twitter. Michael, you are?
Michael Wiseman at The Real Wiseman. You can catch me back here later on tonight. If you're watching live, I will be on the SmackDown post-game show again. And I'm working on a little article talking about the, we're going to wait and see how this pans out, but really digging into this new start, this fresh start in WWE. What does that really look like, and what's it accomplished so far? So it should be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm very interested to reflect on this as well. The fresh start, the new dominoes.
Fresh start.
Old dominoes sucked. You could use our pizza as frisbees.
Yeah.
Gross. All right, and well, before we go, I will sing a bit more of Moulin Rouge. And this song's for you.
Delete.
Everybody.
Cancel. We're losing subscribers by the second.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.